Hi my loves, welcome back to the channel. It's Vida FX here again, and this is part 2 of the video. So today we're going to be learning about currency pairs, just like you saw on the thumbnail. So we're going to be covering what currency pairs are. We're going to be covering why currency pairs are traded, how to read currency pairs. We're going to be talking about what a base and a quote currency is and the different types of currency pairs that we have. So stay tuned. Remember to click the subscribe button. So let's get started. So what is a currency pair? I said here that a currency pair is simply the value of one country's currency compared to another country's currency. So in forex trading, you're always buying one currency and selling another at the same time. Okay, that's why currencies are quoted in pairs. For example, we have the euro against the dollar, we have the Great Britain pound against the US dollar, we have the US dollar against the Japanese yen. These are all examples of currency pairs. And when you see them coming in pair, which means if you're selling the euro, you're buying the dollar at the same time, and vice versa. So that is what currency pair is. Okay, and next we're going to be covering is why are currencies traded in pair. Now think about it like this: if you're traveling from Nigeria to the United States, you're going to exchange your naira for the US dollar, which means you're selling one currency to buy another. That exchange relationship between the two currencies, that's a currency pair. So forex trading works in the same way, but just on a much larger scale or on a much bigger scale. So that is simply why they are traded in pair, because you cannot trade the naira alone. Now we're going to talk about how to read currency pair. So let's use the Euro USD as an example. It has two parts. The first currency is called the base currency, which is the euro. And the second currency is called the quote currency. So in euro against the USD, the euro becomes the base currency and the US dollar becomes the quote currency. So if euro USD is selling at 1.10, it means that 1 euro is equals to $1.10. That's simply what it means. So now what is a base currency? Now I said the base currency is the first currency in a currency pair. That is, we use the euro USD for example again. So the euro in the euro USD is the base currency. So the base currency is what you're buying or selling, or it is the first currency. Okay, so if it was the USD against the euro, the USD becomes the base currency. So think of it as the main currency in the pair. So if you're trading the USD against the Japanese yen, the US dollar there is the base currency. So it is always equal to 1 unit. So when you see euro USD at 1.10, it means that 1 euro is equal to 1.10 US dollar in pricing. Okay. So next we're going to talk about what a quote currency is. So just like I talked about the base currency, the quote currency is the second currency in the pair. So in the euro USD, the USD then it becomes the quote currency, which is the second currency. Okay, so the quote currency tells you how much of it is needed to buy 1 unit of the base currency. So again, if the euro USD is selling at 1.10, it means you need 1.10 US dollar to buy 1 euro. So the USD is what is doing the pricing. It's just like, let's say you're selling the USD against the naira. You need 1,400 or 1,500 depending on the rate to be able to buy $1. So that's simply what it means. So in the example of USD against the naira becomes the quote currency and the US dollar becomes the base currency. Okay. So moving on to the different types of currency pair. I said here that we have 3 different types of currency pair, namely the major currency, the minor, and the exotic currency. So what are major currencies? So major currencies are the most traded currency pairs in the world. Okay, they always include the US dollar and one other strong global currency. So, for example, we have the euro against the US dollar, we have the Great Britain pounds against the US dollar, we have the US dollar against the Japanese yen, we have the US dollar against the Swiss francs, and we have the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So these are all major pairs because they are pairs from countries with really, really strong economies. Okay, that's why they are the major pairs. And so next we're going to talk about minor pairs. Minor pairs are also called cross pairs. These are pairs that do not include the US dollar in either the quote or the base, but they include other major currencies. We have like the Euro GBP, which is the Great Britain pound. We have the Euro against the Japanese yen. We have the Great Britain pounds against the Japanese yen. And we have the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. So these are all strong currencies, but because they do not include the US dollar, we call it the minor pair, but they are also tradable pairs and they're also good to trade. Next on our list is the exotic pair. So exotic pairs include one major currency plus one currency from a developing or smaller economy. For example, we have the US dollar against South African rand, we have the US dollar against the Turkish lira, we have the US dollar against the Nigerian naira. So these are currencies that include the US dollar, but the base or the quote currency becomes a smaller kind of currency. So that is it about currency pairs. I hope you learned something from this video. Thank you so much for sticking till the end. Please remember to hit the subscribe button, like, share, and turn on the notification bell because we have other videos dropping soon. Peace out.